Good morning, everyone. It is whatever day it is, Wednesday, March 4th. I had to jump on a couple moments early here because a lot of people in the chat having the same question I have, which is Methburg, West Virginia. Is that real? I mean, I'm at a computer. I could Google that right now. Um, okay, not the actual name, says the Hitchbot. Okay. All right. Good to know. That was clever, though. That was definitely, I liked that. And apparently, a lot of other people had the same question I did, which again, we're all on a device. We could have easily Googled it, but that takes away the mystery sometimes. Not knowing is part of the fun. No, that is definitely not true. Knowledge is power, and we need to use it to our advantage. But it's good to see everybody in the chat. I'm in a good mood today. Shouldn't be, considering, the state of everything, but I do have a bit of weird news. And this is before we're going to get into the Christi Noem thing in just a moment. Dan Crenshaw, who was once considered a rising star among the Republican Party just 2 years ago, Crenshaw's career in Congress is over. Dan Crenshaw, Republican representative from Texas, lost his primary yesterday. So Crenshaw will, of course, finish out the remainder of his term, and then he's gone. He was, unfortunately, defeated by a more MAGA Republican, Steve Toth, who ran to the right of Crenshaw. So it's not like, hey, great, we're going to get a moderate that's not a wackadoo. Nope, we've got an even bigger wackadoo, which, as I've said many times, is part of the problem with some of these people in these deep red Republican districts is that when they go, it's not like we're going to get some rational, sane person to take their place. Kind of like my district here, when Matt Gaetz left, like, oh boy, we don't have to deal with him. And we've got somebody who's even Trumpier, unfortunately. Now, that election was far closer, but than any of Gaetz's. But yeah, we still ended up with a pretty MAGA guy. So it's not like we get better, and it's not like Texas's 2nd congressional district is going to get any better with somebody who's not Crenshaw. And yes, as I said, it is a deep red Republican district over there in Texas. So Steve Toth will likely, in fact, be the next representative from that area. But in the meantime, we can at least maybe see a more moderate Crenshaw for the rest of the year. Maybe a guy who doesn't go along with the rest of the Republican Party because he knows his days are numbered and it's going to be a while before he's able to, try to run for office again. So maybe, because Crenshaw has, in a few moments on a few issues, not been insane. So maybe this is the kick in the pants he needs to be like, you know what? I'm not going with the Republicans. I'm not going to sit here and defend everything that this psycho president does anymore. I may have to vote with Democrats, or just as good, I may not vote. I may just not show up. So the good things could happen. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying that, there's a strong chance they do. I'm just saying they could happen with Crenshaw knowing that at the end of the year, he is back to being just Dan. So we'll see. Indashian says, always a silver lining with you, Farron. Well, when you can, right? When life gives you lemons. Yeah. So there's that. I don't... I can't read that comment out loud. It's a little offensive, but it made me laugh. I have a dark sense of humor at times. So there's that. Good to catch you live, Farron, tuning in from England. Well, great to have you here. Chantel loves K9, says no King's March, 28th. Go if you can. Do not forget there is a massive nationwide No Kings protest happening on March 28th. Please, if there is one near you, go if you can. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No violence, no vandalism. Keep them the way these No Kings protests have gone, and that's the best. Anyway, let's get going here. We're a little past 9 now, so hang on. As a career designer, I humbly request you left align text when showing quotes in your vids. It's easier on the eyes to read. I will pass that along. Thank you. I do not do that. I know squat about video editing. So I don't even know. Farron, where was Trump and Hegseth when our fallen came home? Well, Hegseth, you probably checked the nearest bar. And for Trump, probably on Truth Social having a temper tantrum about something. Here we go. On Tuesday, Christi Noem was hauled in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee where she had a really rough go of it. And it wasn't just the Democrats. You can expect whenever you bring in one of these partisan hacks, Democrats are going to be tough on them, as they should be. Republicans are going to go a little easy. But that didn't happen for poor little Christi Noem, and she got called out for just about everything she's done in her adult life. Not just as Homeland Security Secretary. Tom Tillis even tore into her for killing her dog and her goat in the same lunch break. But it was Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, one of my favorite punching bags of all time, who really let her have it. Kennedy started by saying, and you get to hear my wonderful John Kennedy impression, "How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?" And Noem responded, "Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave or we would detain and remove them. It's been extremely effective." And then John Kennedy said, "Well, they were effective in your name recognition. I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president as I do, that you said, 'Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut and I'm going to spend $220 million running them.' That he would agree to that. I don't think Russ voted OMB would have agreed to that." I agree. I mean, if you're going to spend 220 million, running ads for anybody in this administration, it better be featuring Donald Trump, right? So I think Kennedy's got an actually decent point there. Like, there's no way Trump signed off on this. He wanted you to get the message out. So you think he wanted $220 million worth of commercials featuring not him? Even though you praise him significantly in those commercials, probably still not exactly what Donald Trump wants. Let's also not forget that we don't have money for the Department of Homeland Security to respond to disasters like the still disaster in Lake Lure and other areas of North Carolina that FEMA has abandoned. No, we don't have money for that. But we do have $220 million for everybody to see Christi Noem's heavily doctored face. For the record, $220 million would more than pay for all of the claims that North Carolina has made from Hurricane Helene. All of them. They could have paid all those people what the government is supposed to do in those situations. And instead, they pulled out of North Carolina and ran $220 million worth of Christi Noem's ugly face. Then, at one point, Kennedy accused her of lying when he pointed out something that she had told the media. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a long exchange, but here's the gist of it. Kennedy was basically like, you told the media that Stephen Miller was the one calling the shots. And she's like, what? No, you're relying on fake news. And he's like, you said it. She's like, no, the paper says I said it, so that's fake news. He's like, no, you're literally, there's videos. Like, what are you talking about? You said these things. And she insists, like, nope, never said it. Nope, I don't know what you're talking about. That's fake news. I didn't say those things. And he keeps saying, like, you said them on the record, January 27th, 2026. You're just lying at this point. Then Tom Tillis from North Carolina, who has been, out of both parties, one of the most outspoken people on the many failures of Christi Noem, he decided not necessarily to use his time getting answers from her, but to let her know that she is a piece of shit. In fact, he came very close to straight up calling her a piece of shit. But he said he was disappointed in Noem because ICE was wasting limited resources by not actually going after serious criminals. He said, we just want numbers, 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day, because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster under your leadership, Miss Noem, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. He said, time after time, I've been disappointed. Thousands of people are hurting in North Carolina, and you're just barely catching up. She tried to cut him off, and he said, I'm not done with the analysis. You have failed at FEMA. And then he gets even dirtier. Why can't we just say we made a mistake? The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Preddy probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking at the facts. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested in the appropriate time for training, and then you have the audacity to go and into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices? He then called her out for shooting a goat at that same lunch hour, and he concluded his questions by angrily describing how he had requested information a month ago about multiple investigations and had not yet received a response, holding up a letter from the Office of Inspector General citing, quote, 10 different instances under Miss Noem's leadership where they've been misled, not allowed to pursue investigations that they think are critically important. And then he called on her to resign. When he called on her to resign, the entire room erupted in applause. Everybody hates Christi Noem. And I love that everybody hates Christi Noem. Republicans, Democrats. This is one of the few uniting issues in the United States right now, is we all agree that Christi Noem, I can't even say she's the biggest failure of this administration because, everybody, but just in general as a human being, you're a failure. You got the job because Donald Trump wanted to sleep with you. Let's be honest. He thinks she's attractive. She's probably a little old for him, but he liked the way she looked, and that's why she has this job. Some super chats came through. Let me get to these real quick here. Thomas says, as usual, Adane is here too. Keep it up. Appreciate it. Gary Tour says, my family owns 4 Chevron gas stations. Gas prices were $2.69 on February 8th. Now they are $3.89 on March 2nd. Gas prices are, of course, expected to continue to increase definitely over the next few days. If you haven't filled up, folks, if you need something for the lawnmower or any other yard tools, boats, jet skis, whatever it is, it's only going to get more expensive. So I'm not telling you stockpile gas. Please, for the love of God, don't stockpile gas. That is dangerous and stupid. But fill up before it goes even higher. Token Black Cheese says, good morning. Has the chickens for KFC, Latinos for Trump been drafted yet? Most of them are in ICE. Not ICE custody. They're the ones that are serving as ICE. I would love to see them. I mean, I think the people who voted for Trump should be the first ones to go. Farron, V-Man here, which we didn't see a V-Man yesterday. I actually thought about that after. I was like, wow, I don't know if I missed it or if you just were not with us yesterday, but good to see you back. Farron, I've noticed that some on the left are skeptical of James Tallarico because he is religious, despite he has spent his career fighting Christian nationalism. I think many on the left look at it the way the GOP looks at Islam. They do. Look, I have no problem with people being religious. You know, I have my, whatever you want to call spiritual beliefs. I was raised Catholic, definitely not practicing any religion. But, you know, I have issues with religions to a degree because, you know, you break any of them apart, including Catholicism, and sometimes it just gets weird. You're like, okay, God is like all knowing, all powerful. He'll help you when he needs you. Oh, by the way, Catholics, for 40 days out of the year, you can't have meat on Fridays. Sorry. Because if you do, like, God's going to get you. So for 40 days, no meat on one day of the year, except for fish. Fish doesn't count. Like, really? Like, I don't believe that God is sitting up in heaven and his biggest concern is like, well, what are they eating? Did he have a steak today? Oh, fuck. He's done. Nope. Scratch him off the list. He's been a good person. Man, but he had that cheeseburger. That son of a bitch. That's not a thing. That's not. And I think it's silly that people think it is. No. And I'm not trying to mock religion. Trust me, I really am not. But there's a lot of silly stuff in all religions. I'm just using Catholicism because that's what I grew up with. And yeah, there was no meat. There's no meat at my parents' house on Fridays right now. And I think it's silly. But that's just me personally. But anyway, back to actually your point about Tallarico. Yeah, I mean, I think we do have, this negative connotation, and it is tied back to what Republicans have done to religion. Hunter Williams says, how are you feeling for Dems after Tuesday? To be honest, I haven't looked a ton at everything that has happened on Tuesday yet. Obviously, it's early. We're still getting, some results in. So I'm not sure how I feel about anything. But Paula Trigg says, I think losing Jasmine Crockett in Congress is a travesty. And I agree. I really, really hate, I don't want to say I hate that she decided to go for Senate. Not Senate, but anyway, it reminds me too much. And the reason I'm thinking is because I'm thinking Katie Porter, no Crockett, no Porter. It hurts. These are two powerful voices. And, Katie Porter has been gone for quite some time now, unfortunately. And now Crockett, I hope she comes back. I hope that she is able, find another place to run, whatever it is, because we need her back. Lauren Samora says, I have a document that I would like you to read. If you're willing to read it, where would I send it? It's going to depend on what the document is. And obviously, I'm not going to give out my email publicly here. So try to message me on any of the apps. I haven't opened Blue Sky in a week. I'm kind of pulling off that form of social media, the Twitter type. It's pointless. I don't need it. I don't use it. I still have it, and I will always have it, and I will check it occasionally. So you're going to have to message me on some social media app, and hopefully I will see it. Other than that, again, obvious reasons, I cannot just give out information on how to contact me. Scott Carden says, and the rules for Lent have changed over time. It used to be all 40 days, not just Fridays. I was also raised in the Catholic Church. And even before that, it was also like no Fridays at all at one point. Not just Lent. So yeah, it's when somebody can come along and just randomly change long established lore, then it's not real. It is something that was made up by people with agendas. I don't know, maybe Big Fish was in on it, but yeah, it is what it is. You do you practice what you practice, you believe what you believe, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. For me personally, it's not for me. We're 20 minutes into this and we've only covered one issue. We got a lot more, folks. Discord is a great way to connect, they say. Yeah, we've been talking about branching out over there as well. So, we may be doing that in the future. As of right now, I am not on Discord. A lot of people actually suggesting Discord. I can hear my cats in there trying to open up my kitchen cabinets, which is annoying and loud. But anyway, let's move on. We got to talk about what's happening in Iran. So far, we have been given a multitude of different reasons why Donald Trump decided to attack Iran. He was goaded into it by Saudi Arabia and Israel. Iran was building weapons that he told us the other day were almost could reach the United States. So we had to do that. And he was also maybe the Ayatollah building nuclear weapons, and he was going to fire those all over the Middle East and just kind of, kill everybody there. And now Trump admitted, I got him before he got me. I got him first. They tried twice. So now we're in a war, a quagmire, that's given us, 4 or 5 different reasons as to why we're in it. And now he says, well, it's because they tried to kill me. So if anybody watching can do me a quick favor, will you send me the video of when Iran tried to kill Donald Trump? I missed that. I mean, sure, I read stories that Iran wanted him dead, but I never saw the video or the stories about how Iran attempted to carry this out, as Trump says. He says they tried twice. They tried twice to kill him. That never happened. They didn't want him to be alive anymore. And honestly, you could probably throw a rock in the United States and hit somebody that doesn't want Trump to be alive anymore. It doesn't mean they're going to act on it. I mean, hell, I imagine our government probably has, detailed plans that they'll never act on how to take out other foreign leaders as well. Other countries probably have the same thing. These contingency plans in case things go sideways. But just because somebody says, man, I wish that person wasn't alive anymore because they suck, doesn't mean they actively are trying to kill them. But they hurt Trump's feelings, so now we're in a war. But, okay, so he's lied to us about the reasons that we're over in Iran, but at least he's got a plan on how to wrap it up and get out of there, right? Well, no. Because in his letter to Congress, which is mandated by the War Powers Act of 1973, Trump admitted to Congress, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. He said, quote, although the United States desires a quick and enduring peace, it is not possible at this time to know the full scope and duration of military operations that may be necessary. In other words, we'd like for it to end, but who knows, right? I mean, it's a bit of a quagmire. We could be there forever. In fact, in his Truth Social post this week, he admitted that we've got enough ammunition to fight war forever. Exact quote, fight wars forever. So we're just going to be there until we're not. I guess, is the best way to say that. We don't know when the or till we're not is going to be, but we're just there indefinitely because they hurt Trump's feelings by saying they wish he didn't exist anymore. Great. U.S. service members are dying. Iranians are dying. All because Donald Trump got his feelings hurt and now he has no idea what to do. Brilliant. I see the Sin Baron folks are out there. And of course, Draft Baron is in fact trending on certain social media outlets. But listen, okay. So, yeah, Trump lied to us about why we're over in Iran. Yeah, he has no idea when we're getting out of there. But at least all of the smart people in the federal government understand the situation, right? Well, no. Because unfortunately, last week, actually, Kash Patel fired the entire counterintelligence team that happened to be experts on Iran. Fired all of them. Why? Well, because according to Kash Patel, these people mishandled evidence from the investigation into Donald Trump's retention of classified documents. Now, he hasn't provided any evidence to show that these people did, in fact, mishandle the evidence. So we can only logically conclude that no, these individuals who are experts on Iran were not fired because they mishandled evidence. They were fired because they were part of the team that had to embarrass Donald Trump. So once again, it all comes down to Trump was embarrassed, so the entire world has to suffer. This is what happens when you put a man with a tiny mushroom and a huge complex in the Oval Office. That's what this is about. Donald Trump is humiliated. He has been humiliated for most of his entire adult life. And now everyone, regardless of nationality, regardless of where you live, has to suffer as a result of it. Kash Patel has crippled the intelligence of the United States with this idiotic move. And for the record, the reason we did have this counterintelligence team working on the classified documents is for obvious reason. These are classified documents that deal with counterintelligence initiatives, goals, and plans and operations. So they were the ones specifically chosen to handle these documents. But now they're gone. Now they're unemployed. So the few people who might be able to give us a little insight, or the government, I should say, not us, obviously, because it's classified, the people who might be able to give good advice, the people who might understand the situation on the ground better than anybody else in the government, no longer work for the government because of that cross-eyed little freak we have running the FBI. And I do want to apologize for a moment. I'm not trying to get personal or offensive with any of these attacks, but I can't help it sometimes with these idiots. And I'm going to keep doing it. So there's that. Scorpius ZA says, I seem to recall people not wanting to vote for Kamala because she would start wars. Yep. We were told by Republicans, we were told by Trump himself that if you vote for her, you're going to be in World War III. We're going to have insane conflicts all over the planet. Just absolutely ridiculous. Skeet Sayer says, imagine being the security detail on that plane. Now the blanket story makes so much sense. Of course, a reference to the blanket that got the pilot fired mid-flight by Corey Lewandowski. And then the pilot's like, okay, well, if I'm fired, I got to land the plane because I'm not allowed to fly it. And he's like, you're unfired for now. Maybe I'll fire you when we get to where we're going. But how dare you lose her special blanket? Absolutely just the dumbest people on the planet, destroying the planet because they're so dumb and petty and physically ugly human beings. Look, I know I'm no prize pig either here, but could we have picked an uglier group of human beings to run the government? Like, let's just get personal for a minute, right? Let's attack these fucking monsters because they don't just act like monsters, they look like monsters. I mean, truly, line up these people. You got Hoggle from Labyrinth, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You've got Botoxed and work done to hell and back, Kristi Noem, probably now uglier than the dog she shot. Pam Bondi, who always looks like she's on the verge of tears. Kash Patel, all right, I think we all know that one. Hegseth, who, sure, maybe not a bad-looking guy, but definitely mentally unhinged, and that's ugly enough. Marco Rubio, who looks like his mom still cuts his hair. I mean, Jesus Christ. I could keep going on and on and on about these people. And maybe we'll just devote one live stream at some point to me just roasting the crap out of these, mutants. I mean, Jesus Christ, Professor X ought to roll up in there and be like, to me, my mutants. Frick. Fergie says, remember, the word is kakistocracy. Skeet Sayer says, Vanity Fair did an excellent piece on why working with the devil makes you ugly. This one says, WTF is wrong with Marco Rubio's lips. I never have paid much attention to his lips. I'm more distracted by his little, mom sits him down in the kitchen chair. Don't walk through here. I'm cutting the hair. It's everywhere. I got to sweep it up first. We've all been there. My mom cut my hair for a long time when I was little. If I had hair, I'd probably still go to her. And she's not a hairstylist at all. If you look back at old pictures of me, you'll realize that real quick. Euro Scott says, Trump has now made Turkey call for Article 5 as they were attacked by Iran. Yeah, I did see that a missile was shot down that may have been headed for Turkey. I haven't seen much more than that. But I'm also looking for other, newses and whatnot. So Buckeye Mike says, got asked yesterday if I watched mainstream media. I said, yes, I watch Fair and Balanced. David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen, keep up the great work. I find myself watching you more than any. I certainly appreciate that. And David Pakman is definitely a good friend of mine, has been for many, many, many years. Brian Tyler Cohen, good dude, never met him personally. But yeah. Let's go on here because, okay. So we don't have a real reason why we're in Iran. We don't have a timetable on how long we're going to be there. And of course, we don't have the intelligence in place because Kash Patel fired all those, but at least we've got allies, right? Well, no. Spain came out this week and encouraged the rest of the European Union to please, for the love of God, do not support this war. It's a simple message. It's an accurate message. Trump started this aggression. And yes, Iran is acting out and Iran is, trying to attack others. Sure. Because we kicked the hornet's nest. The hornets were fine inside their nest to a degree, sure. But we kicked it and now they're going around stinging everybody because that's what happens. Spain understands it. To a certain extent, the United Kingdom understands it. And they're hoping that the rest of Europe will also understand that. Now, that pissed Trump off. So on Tuesday, Trump said this. Spain has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott Bessent to cut off all dealings with Spain. Not happy with the UK either. Germany's been great, he said as he's talking to the German chancellor. He has been terrific. Others have been very good. Terrific. I think that the head of NATO, Mark, fantastic. I think he's fantastic. but some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing, and everybody was enthusiastic about it. Germany, everybody, and Spain didn't do it. Now, Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their bases if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it. All right, two big things to unpack there. Donald Trump is saying, well, Spain said we can't use their sovereign land, but we could just take their land if we want. We can do that. That's our thing. We can do whatever because nobody can stop us. That alone should be an impeachable statement. He's threatening not just an ally, he's threatening a NATO ally. How is this not like a bigger story than it is? He's threatening another country saying, don't you dare tell me I can't walk into your country. I'm going to walk in anyway, and you can't stop me. He is drunk with power. Power that he doesn't actually have. But he thinks he does because he's toppled two regimes. The second thing is we're cutting off all trade with Spain. That hurts us. That hurts us more than it hurts Spain. See, Spain is one of the few countries, few big countries that we actually have a trade surplus with, meaning we send more to Spain than they send to us. We're winning that, okay? And in terms Trump can understand. So by cutting off all trade, that hurts American businesses more than it hurts Spanish businesses, because we're selling more to them than we're buying from them. So that's not necessarily punishing Spain, because they'll just go buy that stuff from somebody else, okay? Because we're not making anything that is not also made in other parts of the world. So they'll be fine. We'll see more unemployment and more people going out of business. Brilliant plan there. And why the F do you think that trade is the biggest, most powerful bargaining chip on the planet? It's definitely not. But somebody at some point in his life, somebody who's very dumb, told him trade is better than anything else. And if you cut off trade, you kill a country. And he believed it because he's dumb too. And that's why he's doing all of this. Apologies. Nose is just kind of running like crazy today. Don't know why. A couple super chats here. Ugly people, this is from Ska D Music, says, ugly people can be the nicest people on earth. True ugliness comes from the inside, and oh boy, are those MAGA goons ugly as fuck. I agree. And look, I don't like to sit here and criticize the way other people look, again, because I look like this. But if they're a horrible human being, outside and inside, then yeah, I'm going to go low. I didn't even get to Stephen Chung in my little diatribe. That man looks like all three little piggies and the big bad wolf. V-Man says, I'm laughing at the idiot MAGA governor of Puerto Rico cheering on the Iran war when she scrapped green energy initiatives for LGN last year. The price hike in energy cost will cost Puerto Rico, will end her. Hopefully it does. Or her career, not end her, just in case, anybody wants to take something out of context. End her career. That's what we meant, obviously. Skeets here says, thanks for giving Canada more World Cup games. At this rate, only Hungary will want to play in the USA. I can't wait to see also what's going to happen with the Olympics. Are any other countries even going to show up? We'll see. Scotty Music says, if this violation of international law gets normalized, this not only legitimize Russia's attack on Ukraine, but allow any country to attack another one, which effectively does become World War III. A lawless world, no actual real international body to step in and work things out or whatever. So, it's a dangerous, unprecedented time. So, sure, Donald Trump has lied to us about why we're in the war. And sure, Donald Trump has said we have no timetable for it. And sure, we don't have any experts because Kash Patel fired them all. And sure, we don't have any allies. But at least at least we're getting Americans out of there, right? You know, the Americans stranded, we're not leaving them there, right? Well, no. Americans stranded in the Middle East are being told by our government, you are screwed, guys. Hope you're not trying to avoid getting sucked into a war because we're not going to come and get you. The situation is so bad with thousands of Americans, including, regular tourists who decided the Middle East this time of year was perfect place to go, okay. Thousands of people are stranded. So Marco Rubio, that genius, put out a video early this week and told stranded Americans, hey, we get it. We understand you can't get flights. Obviously, airspaces are closed down. So call this phone number at the State Department and you're good to go. You call the number and you get an automated message that just says, please do not rely on the U.S. government for assisted departure or evacuation. At this time, there are currently no United States evacuation points. So Rubio tells stranded Americans, don't worry, just call the phone number and all your problems will go away. And they call the phone number and they're like, yeah, we have no plan. You're fucked. Good luck. Click. Press 1 to hear this message again. That's our message to people stuck in a freaking war zone that we created is you can't leave. We don't have evacuation points. We don't even have a plan. You know, we're not exactly the kind of people to make plans and figure things out. I mean, what do you think we are, the Obama administration? Get real. We just fly by the seat of our pants, right? We're shooting from the hip. Whatever we say happens immediately, and we don't even think of consequences for American citizens. So they're stuck. But don't worry, because Caroline Leavitt says we're on it. Leavitt issued a statement on Tuesday saying, the United States State Department is actively working on plans to help Americans in the Middle East return home. Working on plans. So, multiple options to get a plane over there and load people. Because that seems like the plan. Now, I don't know how many we have, but I know for a fact the United States military has big old giant planes with tons and tons and tons and tons of seats. Sometimes more seats than your average, airplane. Now, here's my plan. And this may be crazy wackadoo plan, but airspace is closed down except for military, right? Okay, we get that. So send these people to an airport, fly in your little military plane, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, I don't care how many, however many it takes. Put the people on the planes, fly them to the nearest area where the airspace is not shut down, and they get off at that airport, get a new flight, and come home. Or, and this is super crazy here, you just fly them home. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But seems to me, we have the pilots, we have the planes, we can, empty them out real quick. That seems like the only viable plan to get these people out of harm's way immediately. But we'll see. V-Man says, they are making the Bush admin look brilliant. That is so sad that is accurate. Like, the Bush administration is looking more and more competent by comparison, and by comparison is important each day. Skeets here says, Leavitt's lies are so weak. Indeed, they are. Neat Noodle says, even if Dems take the House and Senate in November, can they really drop Trump? Won't he still do whatever he wants while we keep having to go to court? Yes. I'm sorry to just give such a simplistic answer, but yeah, he's going to do whatever he wants. And it's going to keep pissing off the public to the point where it's going to hurt Republicans in 2028. And, then we'll have to probably forcibly remove him from the White House. But at that point, I do think he'll be so gone with dementia, we could just wheel him out and put him in a nursing home and be like, no, this is the new White House ballroom you built. And he'll believe it. So, we got that going for us, which is nice. ET0001 says MBS and BBI both wanted the Mad King to attack. Sorry. I was getting something in my throat there. Chantel says he's been doing WTF he wants since 2016. That is also accurate. All right. So, Skeets here says, if the Dems have the Senate and Congress, impeachment will look like the Nuremberg trials and a party will die. Scorpius CA says, what pisses me off the most about this whole thing is that I can't vote in your elections. That election results affects mine and millions of other non-U.S. citizens. I do wish, not that it would matter, I think, to most Americans, because we're very dumb, we're very myopic, we're very self-centered. But I do wish people understand. Send Trump Airlines. That's funny. Sorry. I wish people understood that what we vote for here in the United States impacts the entire globe. You're voting for what's going to affect people who cannot vote. So keep that in mind. But again, Americans wouldn't keep that in mind. They don't care. All right. So we've been lied to about why we're even over in Iran. We don't have a timetable. We don't have the intelligence, folks. We don't have allies. And we don't have a plan to rescue our stranded citizens. But at least the entire thing is being run by a guy who's totally all there mentally, right? Well, no. On Tuesday, while meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Donald Trump forgot what country his own father was born in. Trump told Merz, quote, my father was born, he knows all about my father. My father was born there. These are places you automatically feel warmly about. Fred Trump was born in the Bronx. He was not born in Germany. It was, in fact, this dementia patient's grandfather who was born in Bavaria. And he traveled to the United States in 1885. So, and by the way, Granddaddy Trump from Bavaria actually left the country to avoid their mandatory military service. So, ducking out of conflict when your country needs you is kind of a Trump family tradition that we are now seeing passed along to Barron because they're trying to argue he's too tall to enlist, even though we have had service members far taller than he is. There is one comment that this article contains from Blue Sky user Erica Jones, and I love that she said this because this is where I was going to go with it. Quote, imagine if Biden didn't know where his father was born and confused his father with grandfather. This bozo does it, and MAGA giggles. Because again, in the latest installment of If Biden Had Done This, conservatives would still be talking about it today. There was one time when Biden confused the presidents or prime ministers, whoever, from two separate countries. And then later on in the statement, he corrected himself and switched it back. But Fox News ran that for fucking days. Days on end. Like, this guy, obviously, he's cognitively impaired. He can't be president. 25th Amendment now. Trump couldn't remember where his father was, what country his father was born in. And nothing. This man has dementia. confusing very basic things that he has known his entire life but no longer knows them? Yeah, that is dementia. And we have to keep talking about it because the corporate media is not going to talk about it. You're not going to see it on CNN now that the MAGA billionaires are taking it over. You're not going to see it on CBS because the MAGA billionaires already own that. You're not going to see it on ABC because they're too afraid Donald Trump will sue them. And you're probably not going to see it on NBC either because they're just, whatever they are. So we have to talk about it. We have to force the issue. There's something deeply wrong with this man's brain to the point where he cannot faithfully execute the duties of being president of the United States. In my humble opinion, there has never been a more poignant time in American history when the 25th Amendment has been needed as much as it is now. Now is the time. We won't get it. But this is exactly what the 25th Amendment was made for. Writer's Eye says, I have been telling everyone Trump is rotten to the core. He's finally just starting to rot on the outside too. Yeah, that's, I mentioned that yesterday. It's just the fact that now that we're seeing these symptoms or signs, I should say these are not symptoms, they're signs, moving out of his body. How bad are the innards? Also a good day when I can say innards in a stream. Not a word I get to use too often. Skeets here says, too tall. He never read Sergeant Rock comics. I haven't either, so I don't unfortunately get that reference. Listen, if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. We've the last couple days have been getting a ton of new subscribers all throughout the day, which is wonderful. Let's continue to grow here. So, if you have any like-minded individuals in your life who maybe are not following the channel, maybe nudge them along, maybe send them a few clips, see if it's their cup of tea. If not, no problem. I get it. I'm not for everybody. Everybody's wrong about things every now and then, so you can be wrong about whether or not you like me, I guess. But no, on a serious note, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of it. Thank you for letting me do my little rants and my personal attacks against the monsters, mutants, we'll call them, of this administration. Lots of great content coming up throughout the rest of the day. Stick around for that. Share it widely. And I will see you all again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central. Take care of yourselves until then.